What is open data? In this section, we will look at what is meant by open data. Openness, the opposite of which is secrecy, is a concept based on transparency and on unconditional access to information and knowledge. This idea is common amongst various movements, such as open content in the field of creative works, including open source software, open access in the academic field, which means access to scientific articles without restrictions and for free, or even open education, meaning those initiatives that widen access to learning and training traditionally offered through formal education systems. Among the various international definitions of open knowledge, the most up-to-date is the open definition, which means that knowledge is open if everyone is freely able to access it, use it, modify it, and share it, with the exception, at most, of those rules that safeguard the origin of the data. This is the background to open data, that is, those types of data that can be freely accessed and modified by anyone. To be considered open data, the data must meet certain criteria. They must be available online, freely reusable, and therefore be licensed for reuse, and distributed in non-proprietary formats. Open data may be used and reused freely, even for commercial purposes, for example, to develop apps that are then sold. In some cases, there may be constraints for the reuse of open data, such as the obligation to cite the source or share the data in the same way. From a technical point of view, data is open if it is available and accessible. Available means a large amount of data can be downloaded in its entirety in a readable and automatically modifiable format, minimizing or making human intervention unnecessary. Accessible means easily arriving at data, generally through online services, that is, through the Internet. For example, the image you see here is a scanned document, and it is not automatically recognizable by software, meaning it is not machine readable, and therefore it is not an open data source. On the flip side, this type of dataset downloaded in CSV format meets the technical requirements of availability and accessibility. From a legal point of view, two very important conditions must be considered. They have to do with the right or the obligation to publish or not to publish certain information and then to be able to reuse it. We are therefore talking about transparency and privacy, which can often find themselves in opposition. Citizens must be able to access information that the public administration collects to organize public services. In some cases, however, information may be sensitive, such as military information or those covered by state secrecy, or the data that infringes the right to privacy of persons, for example, by revealing sensitive information or data connected to health information, political or religious opinions. Furthermore, data must be freely reusable to be considered open. What does that mean? It means that in order to reuse them, we must neither ask for permission from nor pay those who created the information and organized it the way you found it. To find out if we can use them freely, we need to check the document known as the user license. In creative works, or in a database, or even a software, the copyright owner tells us through the user license how he or she wants the creation to be used. Let us now dig deeper into the world of open data by exploring a particularly relevant type of open data, namely public data, or open government data. The publication of public data is part of the broader open government strategy pursued by many countries of the world, following a directive launched in 2009 by US President Barack Obama. The open government process has several characteristics, including open data, which constitute a fundamental part of it. Open movements on the right of access to information and on the free use of software intersect when it comes to open government data or data collected by public administrations for institutional purposes. For example, to provide services, to guarantee rights, to track policies. Open government data is a fundamental tool to guarantee transparency, accountability, collaboration, participation, service improvement, and the drive towards innovation. The founding principle is that everyone can actively contribute to collective knowledge in a virtuous exchange for the common good. The value of open data is a particularly relevant topic. Open data allows anyone, journalists, analysts, researchers, and the general public, to verify and monitor the actions of governments and public administrations, and to participate in decision-making by formulating new points of view and developing new proposals. Furthermore, by making data open, new models of collaboration between the public sector and the private sector can emerge through information and published data so that they can be freely shared and reused. The availability of detailed and updated information further allows citizens to have more effective tools to participate in the decision-making process in an informed way. For example, by monitoring the effectiveness of public policies, just as you are doing now through your research using open data. In addition to these advantages, there are also various economic advantages. Reusable open data for commercial purposes can be a goldmine for the private sector for the creation of new services based on the availability of updated and good quality data. Open data made available by the public administration, for example, may be used to create increasingly new and profitable apps that can offer useful services to the public. An example: public transport apps based on geo-referenced and real-time data on the location and movements of public buses. The world of open data is huge. Take a look at the supporting materials available to you on the website.